Hey, 30-06 John here, and today what I'm going to be doing is giving everyone an update of my Henry 44 Magnum lever action rifle and some work I've been doing on with Subsonic Cowboy Action type loads. On my last video about the Henry 44 Magnum rifle, I was working up loads with the Hornady 240 grain XTP bullet, and it worked out pretty good, but a lot of times you don't need that much power. Good thing about a 44 Magnum is that you could run it pretty mild and still be a pretty effective round. So I decided to work on some Subsonic Cowboy Action type loads. If you go to the Hodgdon website, they have an area here called resources. If you go into reference data, click on that. So if you scroll down, it has a lot of information here. But one area near the bottom is Cowboy Action data. Has a nice PDF. You open that up and it shows how to make some Cowboy Action loads. A lot of black powder information here, but if you scroll down, they have 44 mag information using normal pistol powders. I have a lot of these 240 grain lead bullets. Let me zoom in right here a little bit. I have some universal powder. I've never really used it before, so that's going to be my load here using a 240 grain lead semi-wad cutter with a universal. In the book here, it says to use 7.6 grains for 1,009 feet per second. I have some other load data that shows a little bit different load. If you go to the Hodgdon Reloading magazine, they show universal start load of 6.5 grains, max load of 10.2 grains for a 240 grain lead semi-wad cutter. So I'm going to use 7.7 grains. I'm going to be using two different bullets. This one here is my standard 240 grain Keith semi-wad cutter style. This is from a local manufacturer, Caster, here in Alaska. And the other bullet that I'm going to be using is this 240 grain Cowboy Action type bullet. It's a round nose flat point. 240 grain. I'm not really sure how hard it's cast because it is for Cowboy Action shooting. But I'll give them a try and see how they shoot. For primers, I'm going to be using CCI large pistol primers. They should be fine. Even though this is a 44 Magnum, using a universal powder should not make a difference. For powder, I'm going to be using Hodgdon Universal. I've never used it before. This powder certainly looks different, but it's supposed to be very versatile, sort of like unique. But first thing I noticed when you open the can and pour some out is that this powder is brown, not black. When you look at this powder, it's certainly different. Looks like brown sand almost. For brass, I'm using this box of mixed 44 Magnum brass that I have. I don't have too many pieces of brass that get split necks or anything like that, so it actually lasts a long time. Should work fine. Here's a couple of my loads. This is with the 240 grain round nose flat point Cowboy Action bullet. Looks good. Nice crimp on it. Primer below flush. The other one is a 240 grain hard cast Keith style. Let me get the photo. There it is. Nice crimp there. It's a crimp groove. So my first shooting session, this is the target here. I shot at 25 yards using the Henry 44 mag rifle, Leupold fixed 4 scope, 16.5 inch barrel. The 240 grain Keith, I was using 7.7 grains of universal. At 25 yards, it didn't shoot what I consider all that great. That's sort of a big group right there. It's about 3 inches. But when I checked the velocity of it, the velocity is just over 1,100 feet per second. I think what was maybe happening there is that travel just a little bit, it dropped below supersonic, and that affects the accuracy. That's why 22 target ammunition is always subsonic. It's like 1,050. So that didn't shoot too good. On my other load, using the 240 grain round nose flat point Cowboy bullet, same charge, 7.7 grains of Universal. It shot very tight. That's about an inch group, I guess, 3-shot inch group. The velocity was below that 1100 feet per second, 1064 feet per second. So that's a pretty good load. And that's about what I was looking for right there. So I decided to go out further and take it out to 50 yards. So at 50 yards, it shot pretty good, about what I was looking for, 2 1/8 inches, 50 yards. This is a 240 grain round nose flat point Cowboy bullet with 7.7 grains of Universal. But I still wanted to get those Keith bullets to shoot, so I decided to go back to the loading press and load up some more ammunition. So my next load, using the 240 grain lead semi-wad cutter, it says max load 7.6 grains for 1,009 feet per second, so I dropped it all the way down to 7.2 grains, and I want to see how that shoots. So here are my results from my second shooting session. Once again, for the Cowboy 240 grain round nose flat point, I used 7.7 grains of Universal. This time, when I loaded them, the velocity was a little bit higher, 1,109 feet per second. That's about 40 feet per second faster than before. And at 25 yards, most of the shots were tight, but it threw this one down here, down low, and I'm not sure what happened there. But once again, I think I'm hitting the supersonic, subsonic barrier there, and I think that might be affecting my accuracy. Now on this load, I'm using a 240 grain hard cast Keith style semi-wad cutter, but I dropped the load to 7.2 grains of Universal. The velocity is quite a bit lower. Before it was over 1,100 feet per second. Now it's 1,035, which is about what I was looking for. The group was pretty nice, whereas before I probably had a 3-inch group. Now I have about an 1.5-inch group. So I think from now on I'm going to be using 7.2 grains of Universal for both the hard cast Keith and the Cowboy round nose flat point bullets. As I was saying earlier, one advantage of a 44 mag cartridge is that you don't have to load it full bore to have it be useful. There's plenty of game that's been taken with a 240 grain 43 caliber bullet going 1,000 feet per second. Another advantage of this type of loads, that it is a low pressure load and also a subsonic load, is that it is pretty quiet. Out of a lever action rifle, it's very quiet. So you could still have a useful round. You could take game with it, and it doesn't make a lot of noise and hurts your ears like a lot of supersonic type loads will. Anyhow, if you like this type of content, please hit the like button and subscribe to my YouTube channel. That's all that I have for today, guys. Thanks for watching. Everyone have a nice day and stay safe.